And then it's just like Kristoff disappears from the movie, like lost in the woods, more like lost in the script. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Alex Reviews. Today on the chopping table we have Frozen 2. So, before we get into my review of Frozen 2, I want to say that I'm going to save my thoughts on which one's better, Frozen 1, Frozen 2. I'm going to say all of that at the end of the video, and there will be spoilers in this review, so if you have yet to see the movie, I would go see it. I recommend it. Go watch Frozen 2 if you haven't already before you see this review, because there will be spoilers about the plot of the movie. The first bad thing that I want to discuss in Frozen 2 is the music. So, at least with Frozen 1, the main thing that drove the movie for me personally and for a lot of people was the music. You had songs like Let It Go, For the First Time in Forever, even songs like Fix Her Up or Do You Want to Build a Snowman, Love is an Open Door. All those songs, vividly remember them. When your best song is the first song in the movie, that's not good. And none of these songs really hit that mark except for maybe the first song, Some Things Never Change. That is the only song that I would put on par with something like For the First Time in Forever. I think those two songs are very similar, and I do enjoy both of those songs. But then you have some songs, Into the Unknown, I'm sorry, it was not that good. Then you have songs that are okay but overshadowed, like Lost in the Woods and Show Yourself, even though that Lost in the Woods scene was really, really unnecessary. It just padded film time, essentially. The songs just were nowhere near the level that they were in the first movie. Another big problem this movie had, the audio was messed up, especially in the music. If you listen closely to Show Yourself, or even if you don't listen closely at all, because I didn't, because I was getting bored at this point, but if you listen to Show Yourself, the instrumentals were overtaking Idina Menzel's voice, and that kind of ruined the song for me, and that's why I didn't enjoy the song until I went back and I listened to it. And I thought this might have been at first just like my theater issue, but I went back and saw it a second time. The same thing happened. I went and looked at the YouTube comments. A lot of people on that video said that the audio was messed up in the movie for Show Yourself and several of the other songs, but I think Show Yourself was probably the worst. You literally cannot hear her on her high notes, and it's kind of frustrating because Idina Menzel, she's a brilliant singer. Okay, so the characters in this movie, I do think that they did a very good job of continuing Elsa's plot, and I do think that they fixed from the first movie. Olaf hit in this movie. I thought he was an annoying little shit in the first movie. Sorry, Kappa, but he was really annoying. And this movie, I think they absolutely fixed him. I was laughing out loud several times at several of the scenes, including the scene where he reenacts Frozen 1.
Samantha!
I do think that they fixed Olaf's character. However, Anna's character, they don't really do anything with. She's just kind of there to be like, no, Elsa, don't go. And then Elsa's like, but I have to. And then she just leaves anyways. And she's like, but you're gonna die. And Elsa's like, yeah, cool. And then just walks off. And then Kristoff, yeah, he's just there. And then he's not there. And then when Anna's about to die, he's like, oh, here I am, I'm Kristoff. I was in this movie for the first half of it. So they really just do not do anything with Kristoff's character in this movie. His whole side plot is, I need to propose to Anna, but I fail every time. This movie really should have had just an A plot and a B plot instead of having an A, B, and a C plot. The C plot being Kristoff, which they just completely ditched, so why even have the C plot to begin with? And then the B plot is with Anna and really Olaf trying to find Elsa and come to terms with Elsa trying to find herself, and then Elsa's plot is trying to find herself. I do think that the story in this movie, while complicated, is very good. This might be one of the most convoluted movies that Disney has ever released, at least in their animated department. So essentially, Elsa hears this voice, and she's like, oh, I gotta find this voice. And so they go 2 miles out, and they find this forest, and there's these native people, and there's these ancient Arendelian soldiers, and they're all about to go to battle for some reason. And then Elsa's like, no, don't fight. That's stupid. And then they go off and try to find the voice on her own. They find their dead parents' wrecked ship, and then Elsa has to go and like find herself. So she ditches Anna and Olaf, and then there's this whole thing about the dam that's keeping water from being pushed into Arendelle, and it's really complicated, this movie, trying to explain the plot. At least for just an hour and a half animated Disney film, you would not expect the plot to be this convoluted, but it really is. It's so hard for me to just try and give you a complete rundown of the plot just because it's complicated. However, I do think that it works very well. It's at least interesting. The plot of the first movie was they did the whole, oh, we're Disney, but we're playing on ourselves because this girl married a guy in like an hour, and we're gonna make fun of that for the whole movie. This movie at least cut out that little cringy Disney recognizing their self thing, which sometimes can work. I think it worked better in Wreck-It Ralph, Ralph Breaks the Internet, when they had the Disney princess scene. The story of this movie is very, very well done. The last main gripe with this movie is that Disney has started doing this thing that I'm going to make a video about here soon, that I personally have dubbed one-trope Disney characters. And what they do is they take a character who's usually like a comic relief or a secondary character, someone who's not the main character, someone that's not Elsa or Anna, and they just give them one thing, one running gag or one trope essentially, and they just keep going on and on with it. And in this one, Olaf is this nihilistic stoner type where he just, everything that he thinks of is genius, water is memory. It's just like, it keeps going on and on and on. It starts at the beginning of the movie and it's just like, oh, okay, this is funny. And while I do think Olaf's character's fine, that's about the only thing that he does in this movie, which might be why I like him better, because he seems toned down and he seems more chilled out and relaxed. But that's the only thing that he does in the movie. Some of the only jokes that he makes. He makes a few other jokes here or there that are funny, but that's the only thing that he does throughout the movie. They've been doing this with Toy Story 4. They did it with Buzz Lightyear, where he hit one of his buttons and, oh, it's my inner conscious speaking. They've done this with several other characters in the past. I'm going to make a video on this soon. It's a trope that's been really annoying me ever since I've noticed it, and now I can't stop noticing it in a lot of Disney films. And that is a gripe that I have with the movie. There's a few other small nitpicky things that I could say about the movie, but none of them really stack up to what I've talked about previously. My biggest problems are the convoluted plot and forgetting characters. That they even introduce some characters that you think are going to be major players in the movie, and then just completely forget about them. All it did was waste my time. They could have cut that out of the movie. It would have cut the movie down by like 6 minutes. You could add something about, I don't know, maybe Anna and Kristoff having like a scene together. They don't have a scene together that feels romantic in this movie, except for the end when Kristoff proposes to Anna. It feels like Elsa and Anna have more chemistry in this movie than Anna and Kristoff do. And that is not sending a good sign, Disney, at all. Another amazing thing about this movie is the animation. It's absolutely beautiful, especially the water. Water is one of the hardest things to animate, and this film does it absolutely beautifully. There were several times in this movie where I looked at it and I swear that it was live action. I was watching a live action remake of like Frozen. But no, it was animated. It was absolutely beautiful. The ice crystals look amazing. The snow everything looks amazing. I love the autumn-winter mix that they have going on in this movie. They're kind of clashing, and it's really, really beautiful. Another thing that I like about this movie, it builds the world. It builds past just Arendelle and random ice castle that Elsa was in the last movie. that was like the only locations in the last movie. This movie we get the forest, we get the place where the shipwrecked. I can't think of the no, I can't think of the name of the place where Elsa goes to like find herself. It builds the world around Arendelle, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. I wish in this movie that they would have kept Anna and Kristoff in control instead of the trolls over the people of Arendelle, and that would have been the B plot. And then maybe there you can have Kristoff try to propose to Anna a few times throughout this crisis, and then she's like, oh my gosh, but what about Elsa? I gotta think about Elsa. I hope Elsa's doing okay. I think that would have been a better way to do this movie, but hey, I wasn't the director, so I think the movie that we got was good. I appreciate it. If I had to rank it on a scale of 1 to 10, even with all my gripes, I probably would give it a 7 out of 10, maybe a 6.5, somewhere in between there. I think it's a good movie. Comparing it to Frozen 1, if you had to ask me which was a better movie, I would say Frozen 2. Frozen 1 to me was very annoying, if that makes sense. Not in the fact that it was everywhere, advertising was everywhere, you only saw Frozen for like a good year or two, really. Frozen was everywhere. It wasn't that fact that annoyed me, I just thought the movie and the characters were kind of annoying. Everything else in the movie to me kind of fell flat except for the music, which I think saved the movie. I enjoyed Frozen 1 more. If you had to ask me which movie would I watch again, I'm probably going to watch Frozen 1. But if I had to say which was a better movie, the story in Frozen 2, and since you already have established characters, you don't have to waste time introducing characters, you can just continue a story. They take that, they do a really good job with it, but I also kind of found myself looking at my watch. I found it a little boring. I didn't care when Kristoff was trying to propose to Anna on screen. I didn't really care that much when Olaf died. And I hate how they brought him back because it's just a trope that Disney does all the time, and it's really annoying me at this point. I wish they would just kill off their characters and kill them off. They did that with Bing Bong. Why couldn't they do that with Olaf? But it's fine. I was okay with the movie that I got. They're really close. They are really similar and they're really close, but they're also completely different, if that makes any sense. Like, I have completely different problems with each movie, but they have about the same amount of problems to where it's hard to judge which one's better or worse than the other. Everyone's mixed on this movie. People either love this movie or hate this movie, and I'm just like, it's a movie. That's all I really have to say about it. Well, there's my calling. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload by The Disney Nerd. And thank you guys so much for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.